The first thing he noticed was not the theft, it was her eyes. Wide, alert, and terrified, yet carrying something older than fear, something that didn't belong to a child. By the time Adrian Vale realized his wallet was gone, the girl was already halfway down the crowded street, slipping between people like a shadow that had learned how to survive. And in that instant, the billionaire who had built empires from instinct felt something far stronger than anger rise inside him. It was curiosity, and something else he hadn't felt in years, concern. If you believe in second chances and the power of kindness, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Only kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Adrian did not shout. He did not call the police. Instead, he followed. It wasn't something he planned. In fact, it made no sense at all. A man like him didn't chase pickpockets through crowded streets in the middle of the day. But there was something in the way she ran, not reckless, not greedy, but urgent, almost desperate. She wasn't running away. She was running towards something. The city around them pulsed with its usual chaos. Horns blared, vendors shouted, and the heat shimmered off concrete like a restless mirage. Adrian kept his distance, his polished shoes now dusty, his expensive suit no longer matching the path he had chosen. Yet he didn't slow down. He watched her carefully, noticing how she checked behind her, not like a criminal fearing capture, but like someone afraid of losing time. She darted into a narrow alley, one Adrian would never have stepped into on any normal day. But today wasn't normal. He followed. The alley smelled of dampness and forgotten things. Broken crates leaned against cracked walls, and sunlight barely reached the ground. For a moment, he lost sight of her. Then he heard footsteps again, quick and uneven, echoing ahead. He pushed forward. Minutes passed. The city faded behind him. The polished world he knew dissolved into something raw and real. Finally, the alley opened into a place he didn't expect, a cluster of makeshift shelters hidden behind abandoned buildings. It was quiet in a way that felt heavy, like silence pressed down by struggle. And there she was. The girl slowed as she approached a torn tarp stretched over rusted poles. She hesitated for just a second, as if gathering courage, then slipped inside. Adrian stopped a few feet away, his breath steady but his heart unsettled. He hadn't expected this. Whatever he imagined, it wasn't this hidden pocket of forgotten lives tucked away from the city's shining towers, including his own. He stepped closer, careful not to make noise. The tarp shifted slightly in the breeze, and through a small gap, he saw inside. The sight struck him harder than anything he had faced in boardrooms or negotiations. Inside the shelter lay a woman, frail and unmoving, her face pale beneath tangled hair. Beside her sat a younger boy, no older than 6, clutching a worn-out blanket. The girl knelt beside them, pulling something from her pocket, Adrian's wallet. But she didn't count the money. Instead, she carefully took out a few bills, just a few, and set the wallet aside. Her hands trembled slightly as she turned to the boy, offering him a small piece of bread she must have bought along the way. The boy took it with quiet gratitude, eating as if every bite mattered. Then she looked at the woman, her mother, Adrian realized, and gently touched her forehead, checking for fever with a tenderness that felt far too mature for someone her age. Adrian felt something shift inside him, something uncomfortable and undeniable. The story he had told himself, that she was just another thief, began to crumble. He stepped back, his mind racing. For years, Adrian had lived in a world where problems were solved with numbers, strategies, and decisions made from a distance. He had built his fortune by staying detached, by seeing people as variables rather than stories. It had worked. It had made him powerful. But standing there, hidden behind a torn tarp, he felt powerless in a way he didn't understand. The girl wasn't stealing for greed. She was surviving. And suddenly, the wallet in his pocket didn't matter at all. He could have left. He could have walked away, returned to his car, and let the moment fade into something he would forget by tomorrow. But his feet refused to move. Instead, he waited. Time passed slowly. The sun shifted, casting thin rays through the gaps in the broken structures. The girl remained inside, tending to her small world with quiet determination. She gave the boy water, adjusted the blanket over the woman, and sat beside them as if her presence alone could hold everything together. Adrian had seen many forms of strength in his life. CEOs, politicians, leaders who commanded rooms with a single word. But this was different. This was silent strength, and it broke his heart. Eventually, he made a decision. He stepped forward and gently lifted the tarp. The girl turned instantly, her body tense, eyes wide with fear. For a moment, Neither of them spoke. The boy froze, clutching his bread, while the woman remained still. Adrian raised his hands slightly, not in authority, but in reassurance. He didn't look angry. He didn't look like a man demanding justice. He looked like someone who had just realized how little he truly understood the world. The girl's eyes flickered with confusion. She recognized him immediately, the man she had stolen from. Her gaze dropped, her shoulders tightening as if preparing for consequences she had long learned to expect. But Adrian didn't shout. He didn't call her out. Instead, he did something neither of them expected. He stepped inside. The air felt heavier within the shelter. Up close, the reality was even harsher. The woman's breathing was shallow, her skin too warm, her condition clearly worsening. The boy looked exhausted, his small frame carrying a weight no child should bear. Adrian glanced at the wallet lying on the ground, untouched except for what was necessary. That detail stayed with him. He looked back at the girl, and for the first time in years, his voice carried something softer than authority. He asked her name. She hesitated, then quietly answered. Zara. The name lingered in the space between them, simple yet carrying everything she had endured. Adrian nodded slowly, as if acknowledging more than just a name. He looked around again, taking in every detail, every struggle hidden in plain sight. And in that moment, something inside him changed. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, like a shift in direction that no one else could see. But it was real. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the wallet, and placed it back where it had been. Then he did something that would have seemed impossible just hours ago. He stayed. The next few hours blurred into something unfamiliar. Adrian made calls, not to assistants or executives, but to doctors, to people who could help immediately. He arranged for medical care, for food, for proper shelter. Not as charity thrown from a distance, but as something personal, something he wanted to see through himself. Zara watched him with cautious disbelief. She didn't trust easily. Life had taught her not to. But she also saw something in him that didn't match the image of the man she had stolen from. He wasn't there for revenge. He was there because he chose to be. As evening approached, help began to arrive. Quiet, efficient, respectful. The woman was carefully taken for treatment. The boy was given food and comfort he had likely never known. And Zara, she stood still, unsure of what to do with the sudden shift in her world. Adrian remained nearby, watching it all unfold. For the first time in years, he felt present. Not in a meeting, not in a transaction, but in a moment that mattered. Days turned into weeks, and Adrian didn't disappear. He returned, again and again, not out of obligation, but because something had anchored him there. He ensured Zara and her family had a safe place to stay, access to care, and a chance at stability. But more than that, he listened. He learned their story, not through reports or summaries, but through quiet moments and shared space. He began to understand the layers of struggle that had led Zara to that desperate decision. And with every piece he uncovered, the world he had built for himself felt smaller, less complete. Because for all his success, he had missed something fundamental. Connection. Zara, slowly, began to trust him. Not completely, not all at once, but enough. Enough to smile, just a little. Enough to believe that not everyone who had power would use it against her. And Adrian, in turn, found something he didn't know he had lost. Purpose. Not the kind measured in profits or influence, but the kind that came from making a difference in a single life. Then another. Then more. Because Zara's story was not unique. There were countless others hidden in corners of the city, unseen and unheard. And Adrian began to see them. Really see them. The man who once built empires began to rebuild something else entirely. Something human. If this story has touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Your engagement helps spread messages that remind us all what truly matters. And before we reach the end, take a moment to comment one word, hope, because sometimes that's all it takes to begin again. In the end, Adrian never forgot the moment it all started. A stolen wallet, a desperate run, a hidden place that revealed a truth he could no longer ignore. But what stayed with him the most was not the loss. It was what he found. A reminder that sometimes, the people we judge the quickest are the ones carrying the heaviest burdens. And sometimes, following a mistake can lead us exactly where we're meant to be. Not to reclaim what was taken, but to give back something far greater.